Welcome to HR Voices, a podcast for independent HR and people professionals and the businesses they support. HR Voices is brought to you by the expert team at HR Independence Limited. We hope you enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of HR Voices podcast. I'm your host, Mary Asante. And with me here today, I've got the fantastic Nicci Birley. Hi, Nicci.
Hi, nice to see you today, Mary. Nice to hear from you. And
Great
hello, community.
Great to have you on the podcast today as well. I will let Nicci introduce herself, and then we are going to be talking about how HR consultants add value to the clients that we serve and the range of services that HR consultants provide. So, Nicci, if you can tell our listeners and our viewers a bit about yourself, that would be amazing.
Great. Thank you so much, Mary. So my husband and I met at work in HR. We've been in corporate life for a very long time, and we set up Cornerstone back in 2018. So we both run the company. We have now 12 of us in the team, and we are based in the northwest of England, supporting small businesses and charities across the UK.
Excellent. Thank you for the background, Nicci. And I think part of this whole series is to really highlight what HR consultants do and how we serve the clients that we serve. Mm-hmm. And I think to increase the awareness around the value that HR can engage in, and a good HR consultant can bring to you and to your business. Mm-hmm. So if you can tell us what sort of services that you provide for your clients.
Yeah, of course. So at Cornerstone Resources, we support our customers with everything under the HR banner. So everything from someone joining an organization or a charity. So right at the beginning, thinking about what kind of role you might need, what does that look like, and all the recruitment and the documentation that goes with that, right the way through the employee life cycle to the end when someone leaves a workplace, and how to do that fairly, compassionately, and well, and everything in between. So the good stuff and the tough stuff as well. So the tough, difficult issues, helping employers navigate through those and do it fairly and legally and in the right way, but also the good stuff. So helping them to design new things. Maybe that's a performance management process, how to do it well, that reflects their values and how their culture is as an organization. So we provide everything under the HR banner, including training.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Nicci. And I think that shows the breadth of experience that you and your team provide to your clients. And who are the type of clients that you work with?
Great question. No, lots of different consultants out there. They might specialize in a certain area or in a certain industry. But Rob and I, my husband, have purposely set up to support all different types of businesses and charities. We have a specific niche in faith-based organizations as well, which is a personal thing for Rob and I and some of the team. But we support all different types of workplaces. I think the bonus of us also having a team is that Rob and I specifically can empathize with other employers, no matter what sector or industry they're from, because we built a team. We've had to recruit people. We've had challenges. We've had difficulties. We've had loads of things to be proud of as well. So we understand that journey as well as being HR professionals. So I think that can really bring additional value in what we offer.
Great. Excellent. And talking about when you're serving different clients effectively across all industry, across all sectors and different sizes as well, how do you go about tailoring your service or your support to your clients?
Great question. So for us, it's really important to understand an organisation that we work with. So one of the very first things we do, Rob and I tend to do a lot of the business development work and the initial introductions, bringing on the call then one of our consultants who we think might be best fit to that organisation. And we like to understand what's the culture, what's the size, what are your main challenges, just for us to get a real feel for them and how we can best support them. Do they prefer a really hands-on type of support, or will they contact us when they need us? But we always proactively as well have a point at least once a month where we check in with our customers, because we do have some that are a little bit quieter and may just contact us when they need us. However, we also want to make sure that they feel that we're adding value to them at all times. Even when times they don't think they need anything, we might be able to bring something new for them. So we're really passionate about being proactive with our customers as well. I think that's even more important in the current economic environment too, to be able to retain clients and showing that you have that touch point with them on a regular basis.
Absolutely. I think that is absolutely important, keeping in touch with your customers, understanding their needs and how you can support them. And the range of services that HR consultancies provide to clients ranges from, oh, we only hear from you when things are not going so well, to actually, let's have a cup of coffee, virtual coffee or whatever, to understand what you're doing, how you're doing it, and how we can support you along the way. Yes. And I think based on the range of customers that we support, it's quite important to understand your customer, their needs, and to base your service on what they need rather than a one size fits all. I'm yet to come across a consultant that says, I only provide this and I do it this way for every single client that I support.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mary. We are super passionate about that in particular. There's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why all of us trained and learned and did our CIPD or whatever background that you come from and experience that you have. We've invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, and some of us a lot of money in developing ourselves as HR professionals. And I really think we can add so much value to our customers. And there's so much that we do that customers just don't realize. So even now, when we have maybe those monthly check-ins with customers, it might just be a general chat. They may think, oh, I've not got anything to bring, but they might mention something in the conversation. You're like, we can help with that. We've been struggling with this ad, and it's like, we can help. So even through those monthly conversations, it really helps to bring to light things we can help with, or there may be contacts that we know of in their particular industry that we put them in touch with. We particularly helped a lot with when we've been scaling up as a business. Have you thought about contacting, for example, a growth company? There's some fully funded courses and support out there to help you as a business owner or as a charity leader to expand your team, to build as a business. So we give quite holistic advice, and we're very passionate about being proactive in that, because for me, I just think, what's the point of us being here if we're not giving them value for money in their investment in us? We need to provide something back to them.
Excellent. And that is really important. I think when you go into a business to work with your clients, and also what you bring to the table sometimes is a fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah.
So you are close enough to the business, but not too embedded for you to be able to see clearly sometimes. And like you said, as you're working with different businesses, you come across different sorts of skill set, resources, etc., that you can actually see your client benefiting from and highlighting it to them or pointing them in the right direction when they need it. And as you said, in your case and in Rob's case, what you really do is look at things from the point of view of, okay, this client is going through growth phase, and these are the resources that we know we've used ourselves, or we've had other
Yeah.
clients use. So try this or look at that. That might help you. On the opposite end of the scale, you may have a client restructuring, downsizing, etc. And equally, you can advise them on here are the steps that you can follow to make this easy on everyone involved as well.
Absolutely. And in our team, we have a real mix of some that have been consultants before themselves, so have a real appreciation of that. But we also have some that have been in-house HR. And it's really interesting to get them to reflect on how different this is. And they massively value the variety that we have in our roles, the variety of workplaces and employers that we work with, but also the variety of types of solutions that we can offer. And I think it's a real privilege being in our position, because we do have access to all the different ways that each of the different employers are implementing things, doing things, challenges that they have. And I think as a consultant, I've probably never felt more informed and updated as a HR professional, because we have to be. So we're all over the legal side of things. We're all over the latest things that are happening in the HR world, so much more than I was able to be as an in-house HR person. So I think as HR professionals, as independent consultants, we offer so much value to our customers in all of that we bring to them.
Yeah, and that is the key part of the advantage of engaging an independent HR consultant, because you're not getting a siloed experience or exposure. You're getting a wide range of exposure. You're getting, in your case, team. In other cases, people use associates. And in those who work independently and are part of communities such as the HR Independence HRI, have got a whole community that we can tap into. And then additionally, the help desk as well, if someone is facing a very tricky situation. So even if you engage in one person, you have a whole army behind them of experienced people behind them that support the service that you get from that individual.
Yeah, absolutely. And having been a standalone HR consultant for 18 months at the beginning of this journey with Cornerstone, it can be feel quite isolating. It can feel like I just want to bounce this off somebody. So it's so brilliant having a community like HRI to be able to ask those questions that you might feel are stupid, but they're not. Just for someone to say, yeah, I hear you. I've been there. These are the things that you could think of in that. That is so, so valuable, especially for those that are standalone independent consultants. So massively valued and very grateful for the HRI community.
Absolutely. And the thing with HR is, I'm sure you come across this, I come across it all the time, when you think, yeah, I've seen it all.
And then you haven't.
No.
Absolutely. And it's still, I think we have an amazing wealth of experience in our team. I think up to 30 years, one of our senior consultants has. And even now we just go, that's a new one on me.
Absolutely.
Because we're complex as human beings, right? And there's still no way of saying, if a manager asks us, how do you think they'll be? I'm like, really? You know them best. However, I really cannot predict this. We just need to be wise and open to the different opportunities and the different options, and just listen, and maybe don't be afraid of coming away and coming back with an answer rather than having to answer straight away.
Everything at the same time. And I think that is really important in when you engage in, especially in difficult or complex processes, to really understand that, yeah, it's a conversation, it's a consultation, and you don't have to provide answers in that conversation. If you don't know it, you make a note of it, you walk away, you inquire, and then you come back with the right answer, rather than saying something that is going to, in the end, be totally wrong. And you having to spend a lot of time unraveling that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I think that's just such a great piece of advice, and one I probably wish I'd have heard right at the beginning of my HR career, or for those that are earlier on in their HR career, I'd absolutely say give yourself permission to do that. Don't be afraid. of saying, I've taken some notes, I'm going to come back to you on that later today, or whenever the best time scale is for you to manage expectations, but don't feel that pressure to respond straight away. We can't all know everything at the drop of a hat. HR covers such a broad range, Mary, such a broad range of topics and areas. There's so many areas I'm sure many people don't realize that we cover. So don't be afraid to do that, to take a note. I'll come back to you, and then you can come back in your own time, having had chance to do some research, and when you're confident in what you're coming back with, that's the right next step. So yeah, I think that's a really wise piece of advice for anyone early on in their career with HR.
Yeah, and also one thing relating to that is also knowing your limit is actually a strength, not a weakness. Because like you said, you're working within a team. So why not tap into the wealth of experience of the team that you are working with? If something, even if it's as simple as bouncing an idea of somebody or just talking through what you're going to do sometimes, absolutely help. Because like we said, you've done or dealt with something today. You may not have dealt with it within the past 12 months. It may be 12 years ago, 15 years ago, or 5 years ago. When was that was the last time you had to deal with it? And having dealt with it today, you may not even deal with it again for the next 5 or so years. And so when it comes across your desk again, stopping, pausing, reflecting, yes, I know this, I've got this, but putting it in context of recent changes, the company's organizations, legal framework, etc., and then case laws and everything, then you go, right, okay, this is the right way forward for this particular case. And by doing that, you're kind of walking through and sound checking what you were doing before you actually do it. Because,
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think there's nothing like trying to articulate when you start just saying it out loud, even sometimes, because you may have an idea in your head how you might deal with something, but even just talking it out, as you're talking it out to colleagues or to other indies out there, you go, okay, yeah, no, that sounds, and they might offer a tweak or an addition somewhere. And I think it's just helpful talking it out and taking a moment, taking a pause to do that, and just see if there's anything else that you haven't thought of. I think it's really valuable to have those sounding boards and those friendships and relationships in the HRI community to be able to do that together.
And the beauty of what we do is that we're dealing with real human beings, and their lives and decisions, advice, support, etc., impact on people and their daily lives. So it's really important that we think through things carefully, and we are considerate, empathetic, and everything, and to make sure that we're delivering the best value we can to both our clients and their employees.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think by nature, as HR people, we are passionate about people. We care about people. We are passionate about justice normally, most of us. So we really want to see the right thing done and the right treatment of people, that people do matter. So I think that's really important. And I think it can also weigh on us as HR professionals in some of the processes and cases that we're involved in. They can really impact us because of that, their knock-on impact, that a decision that is made by a manager, the impact that can then have on the individual. They could have lost their job, their livelihood, and even more in the faith-based context that we work in, a lot more, and in charities too, a lot more than that could happen. There could be an impact on a wider community, for example, on the family, in small businesses where different families might be employed, family members might be employed too. There's a real knock-on impact, and that is a weight that we carry as HR professionals. Yes, it is really hard for individuals going through processes, but equally we want to be so sure that we're advising managers in the right way to take the right steps from a HR policy and process perspective, that it does weigh on us. So we also need to be very conscious of how we look after ourselves through that as well.
Yeah, and it's very, very essential. I think the self-management, because you can't afford as an HR consultant to run on an empty. You need to always look after yourself, look after your mental, physical health and everything else. And also more importantly, to keep yourself up to date as well, isn't it? So that you sort of panicking, etc. when you deal, because some of the issues that we get involved with, or some of the cases that we get involved with, are very tricky.
They are.
Like you've highlighted, it can span from a community to the core of families, where you have family-run businesses, and they are very common. Sometimes you may have husband and wife going through a divorce case, but still wanting to work in the same family, same business, or the other person saying, no, I don't want them in my business anymore because we are no longer together. You may get children working in the businesses, relatives, etc., and sometimes very close friends who have known each other for a long, long time.
That's right.
And so it gets really tricky, and the ramifications of your decisions, your advice, etc., in the workplace that leads to that ultimate decision goes beyond the borders of the workplace.
Absolutely does. Yeah, it absolutely does. So super mindful of that as we go through it. And I think Joe in our team, who is our L&D guru, did a great session with a team on resilience. So I think it's important for each of us as HR professionals, as independent consultants, to be aware of what things help us to try to just take a moment through the day, whether it's coming away from your desk, having a quick walk, making a drink, having a break. What things during the day can you do to help yourself to just be away from what you're dealing with for a short time? What do you do after work? What do you do before? Putting some things in place to help you help yourself to look after yourself, and really not underestimate the impact that these things, these matters, these cases can have on you. And I think often as HR, it's also, we're not able to share a lot of what we do. We may be restricted when we're helping to write communications, for example, or a statement about what's happened. There's a lot that we can't say. And that's really hard too, because I think you can still carry it as a professional. So I think our own resilience and ways to build and strengthen our resilience and look after ourselves are really important.
You've touched on a really good point in terms of confidentiality around things that we say and we can't say.
Yeah.
And also that linking to that is directly privilege, isn't it? Legal privilege.
Yeah.
Whilst, and it's important that we highlight that while solicitors, lawyers, etc., have legal privileges, HR consultants don't.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
So,
and actually, was a really interesting post on that this week, I saw.
Yeah. So I think it's important because people may not realize that when they are talking to their HR consultants, when they are asking for advice, when we are communicating with our clients, that actually the conversations that we have with them can be and will be used if there's a dispute or if there's any sort of request for disclosure, etc. So it's really important that clients bear that in mind when they are having a conversation with us, and also taking on board advice that we give them.
Yeah, and also those requests which inevitably do come in, can we have a confidential chat? I guess that's even more important to state that at the beginning, isn't it? To frame the conversation that says, look, if there are any elements here that I may need to, just as you've said, Mary, or actually even if there's any disclosures from a safeguarding perspective that I do need to make, I need to make you aware that I won't be able to keep that confidential. You know, there's steps that I need to take, and that's really important. So I think that's really important and wise advice again for HR consultants to be aware of. Absolutely.
I think on that, it's really, again, you work with a very degree of clients. You've touched on charities, you've touched on faith, and also other sectors such as education and various health, etc., where safeguarding is really important and it plays a key part. And that would always and should always take precedence over. So it's really important, I think, that when we engage our clients, they understand the limits to which, or the remit within which we operate. Yes, we'll support them, and yes, if there's an issue that we've identified, we'll work with them, hold their hands to make sure that is highlighted to the right people, dealt with, etc. But also, more importantly, having those confidential conversations and making sure they have the confidence in us that those conversations will be confidential for us to be able to support them where we need to support them as well. So a really good balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have had conversations where we've had to say, look, we're not safeguarding experts, or we're not health and safety experts, but we have really great partners. So I think if you haven't done that already, or maybe you're thinking about doing it as an indie, do build up some good networks and some good contacts in those spaces, so you can refer them, or maybe they do advice with you to create a whole picture. So we've absolutely brought in safeguarding specialists where we've needed them on grievances, disciplinaries, and all sorts of investigations, because they're the specialists, just like we're the specialists in HR. So we need to reach out for their specialist up-to-date advice. We are not meant to be all over that as well. So I would say, do build up your networks of trusted health and safety, safeguarding, whatever they may be, but have those specialists around you to help you to provide an even better service to your client.
Thanks for highlighting that, Nicci. Partnership is absolutely crucial when you are running an HR consultancy. Anything from payroll to accounting, solicitors, etc. It's really important, and that's one of the reasons why for HRI members we build a list of trusted partners that people can tap into, in addition to things that they may build themselves in their own network, as I'm sure you have. One of the good partners included, in addition to something like safeguarding, might be background checks. So that there's a whole host of partners, health and safety, safeguarding, background checks, and all other things that it will be good to have in your back pocket for as and when your clients might need someone like that. Because you're right, a lot of the time we do get clients say to us, oh, do you know anyone who can help us with that? Or a lot of the time it goes this way, you help us with that, because HR does everything, right?
Absolutely. And I'm sure we've all got very random stories of the things we've been asked to. I think mine have gone from window cleaning to car parking and all sorts when I was an in-house HR person. But it's brilliant that HRI have already done that legwork effectively, especially for those that are standalone HR consultants. All of that work has been done. They've got a list of partners, providers right there for you. So you don't even have to do that due diligence yourself, which is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some of the lessons learned in your consultancy journey?
Oh, wow. This is a big question. So I think we touched on some of the stuff before around just my own personal development and making sure, giving myself permission to, as a recovering people pleaser, to not feel like I have to answer everything right there. And that's something that I share with my team now, and hopefully they see me doing that too. So taking a bit of a step back and looking at things rather than feeling I have to deal with it all right away. I think really as a consultant, I'm a big learner. I love learning. So it's really opened my eyes as to how much we need to keep across and keep aware of constant updates from HRI, which is brilliant, and the blogs that you can do, the white label blogs that you can use as a business, which is brilliant. So all of those things help a lot. So I've learned a lot. I'm probably learning more than I ever have in my HR career when I worked before in corporates. And I love it personally. I love the variety. Absolutely love the variety, that one day is never the same. And you might have a day ahead of you that you think things gonna work, but it's quite interesting sharing with others. Actually, with people issues, it's not something you can say, oh, I'll call you tomorrow about. If it's something that someone's just punched someone and they've done this, or someone's just walked off site, or if it's one of the extremes, you can't exactly say, oh, I can fit you in on Wednesday at 12 o'clock.
You have to deal with it there.
You have to deal with it there and then, and do your best to give the initial steps at least, and be that calm for them when they've no idea what to say, what to do. They're probably pulling their hair out in terms of a situation that they're trying to deal with. For us, we come in with that calm and with that peace of mind that we've been described as quite often, and help them to navigate, right, this is what we're going to do today. Let's chat again tomorrow. These are the other things we can do. So they know that you're there for them. I think that's been a massive learning for me, and something I just love it. I would not want to go back to in-house HR, as much as that helped to develop who I am today. I love being a consultant.
Yeah, I think a lot of consultants do say that when we have the meetings and catch-ups, etc., that you get to a point where you probably becomes unemployable.
Yeah, we've said that quite a few times. Rob says that quite a lot, actually, which people chuckle at.
Unemployable. Yeah. And I have found myself at the beginning of my journey where, when you are, okay, I'm doing this, and it goes quiet, and you think, shall I go for a job interview or something like that? And I found myself sat in front of people thinking, I end up interviewing them rather.
Yeah. And I love the freedom that we have. We've got our own small businesses, whatever size you are, whether you're standalone or you've got a team, you can make a decision about how you want to work and literally implement it that day or the next day. We've all been part of big organizations where something like that would take a subcommittee and a length of time to even decide that that's okay as a route. And I just love the freedom of being able to do that, being able to work within your own value set and don't feel compromised, and be confident in how you work, and challenging as well. I think as an independent, it's great to be able to speak into workplaces where you're not fully involved on a day-to-day basis. So you can bring that truly independent voice that says, well, why is that happening? That maybe an in-house HR person might find it quite hard to ask.
Or they can ask, but they may not get an answer.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I do love being able to do that. Excellent. And as I've grown older and more experienced in my career, I feel more confident asking those questions too.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nicci. Before we round up, I'd like ending the podcast with your top 3 tips.
As a consultant?
Yeah.
So build a great network of other indies, keep abreast of everything that's happening out there. HRI is a brilliant source of that, but also LinkedIn is a great one to find out what others are doing, what the conversations are out there at the moment, and keep a real open mind and put your customer at the center of everything. You put yourself in their shoes. What would they want? What value can we bring? Because we have so much value to bring. So have a think about that before you meet every new customer.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nicci, for a wonderful conversation. And thank you for tuning in and for listening to us. If you've enjoyed this conversation, would love to hear from you. Please leave us a comment. And if you have a topic that you'd like us to discuss, please send it to our hrvoices@hrindependence.co.uk. Bye. See you soon.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of HR Voices. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover or would like to be a guest, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or email us at hrvoices@hrindependence.co.uk. Tune in next time.